Gee, this is great, Yogi. I mean, Santa. And the Christmas decorations you borrowed makes it very Christmassy. We're talking Yogi Bear's All-Star Comedy Christmas Caper. Hit it. It was 1982. Ridley Scott directed Blade Runner. Hasbro relaunched G.I. Joe. And Yogi and Boo Boo accidentally kidnapped a tycoon's daughter. I'm your host, Jerry D, with another episode of Totally Rad Christmas, the podcast that talks all things Christmas in the 80s. Toys, movies, specials, music, and fads. If it was gnarly during Christmas in the 80s, we got it covered. Now, joining me is a Totally Rad Christmas All-Star and Ratty winner from the Lost Christmas podcast. It's Jeff Loftin. Jeff, how's it going?
Oh man, I'm so excited to be here, Jerry. And for some Hannah-Barbera goodness, what could be better in the at Christmas with Yogi Bear and the gang? Love it.
Oh, I completely agree. So usually Christmas Eve is spent, or Christmas Day is spent watching various Christmas things, and we have our own little traditions. We make M&M cookies, we get ready for Mass, all that stuff. This year, because we went down to my parents and the kids were around, and my parents don't have a whole lot of channels, they ended up watching the Hanna-Barbera marathon on Cartoon
Nice.
Network. So it was like a bunch of
amazing.
Christmas Scooby-Doo, then a bunch of Yogi Bear Christmas, and so this one's a little extra special just because of that.
Most definitely. Yeah. Oh man. 82 was a fun year too. I wasn't born yet.
Oh, no.
but reminiscing, like there was just so much stuff that went on, like so many movies, interesting movies. Wrath of Khan. I mean,
Yes. Oh, man, yes.
Blade
yes.
Runner. Yeah. Anyway,
I stepped thee.
Yeah.
And, so that's such a good. Yeah, before we get into the Hanna-Barbera goodness, let's do my brand new segment. Although I guess now that it's almost a year old, it's not that brand new. But let's do my segment, Hit Me with the Toaster. So I'm going to ask you some questions. I want you to hit me with the first answer you can think of. So
Got it.
Here we go. Let's say Ranger Smith is Scrooge. Recast the Ghosts of Christmas with Yogi, Snagglepuss, and QuickDraw McGraw.
Ooh, okay. Ghost of Christmas present is Yogi because the food and the abundance.
Right.
I would say you said Quick Draw and Snagglepuss are the other two, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I would say Quick Draw is Christmas past and Christmas yet to come would be Snagglepuss.
Okay, I could dig that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Snagglepuss just in the robes and just his pink snouts?
That's what I was
Sticking
hoping
out.
for, actually. Yeah, but now I need that. Now I need that special in my life, right?
I know, guys, get on this.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Which Hanna-Barbera character would you rather go Christmas shopping with?
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, there's a lot of them too, so it's
Maybe Snooper and Blabber.
okay. I can dig that.
So I'm a detective fan, right? And the duo is always just appealing, but they come as a package deal in my
Yeah,
opinion.
you got to have both.
Kind of like
yeah.
Yogi and Boo Boo. Like you, that's a personal thing, but I would say Snooper and Blabber. For those of you that don't know, Snooper is a cat and Blabber is a mouse.
Is the
and they're
mouse,
a detective duo. So
All right, and finally, let's say you're having Christmas with Yogi and friends. What side dish do you bring?
ooh, Christmas side dish. So slightly different than Thanksgiving.
Right.
So my first thought was sweet potatoes, but that's because I'm a Southern kid. So I'm going to say some sweet potato dish, something. I don't know why, but that's what came to mind.
That's
So
okay. Yeah.
that's what I'm
You
going
can
to
still
roll
have
with.
it.
Yeah.
We still
Yeah.
had, I mean, we actually we're not very creative. We duplicated a lot of our Thanksgiving dishes for Christmas.
My family did too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we just added like tamales and other things. But yeah, I mean, that's right. It's
Yeah,
you don't get to have it that often. Might as well.
Exactly. When I was like 10 or 11, we started doing like a Tex-Mex Christmas. So we would have like
Nice.
green enchiladas and like refried beans and stuff. But yeah, just give me like Southern comfort food, I guess. So
Yeah.
I'll go sweet potatoes. That's
I'm
fine.
into it. I'm into it. Now tonight, well, thank you by the way for that. That's just a way for our listeners to get to know you better. Tonight we're talking this 1982, as you mentioned, special. It is Yogi Bear's All-Star Comedy Christmas Caper.
Tuesday,
There are two bears loose in the terminal.
Yogi Bear, Boo Boo, and all their friends turn the town upside down with a Christmas celebration. Then,
Wow, he's beautiful.
the Muppet Babies take off to protect the universe.
We've got to save Princess Piggy.
It's the Muppet Babies and a Yogi Bear Christmas Tuesday.
Now, what do you remember about Hanna-Barbera in general, and then this special in particular?
Man, so I remember Hanna-Barbera for Cartoon Network. So
Mhm.
they got the rights to all of it. Eventually it shifted to Boomerang. I don't know if Boomerang is still a thing. I don't have that streaming service, but the team ups and the crossovers, they were huge with their cartoons crossing over and bringing in guest stars from outside and animating them. And I love that. I mean, it's so nostalgic. Like it reminds me of Halloween through Christmas because of all
Mhm.
those specials they had. And
Agreed.
Scooby-Doo, obviously. I love Scooby-Doo. So
Right, which I think is technically Ruby Spears, but that's an offshoot of
yes,
Hanna-Barbera. So it still
exactly.
has
Yeah,
their style. It really is just alternate Hanna-Barbera if you think about it.
it is. It's like it's like the cousin that's still at the family events for some reason, right? They're
That's
not
right.
immediate family, but they keep showing up. So
That's right. That's
yeah,
right. Or like their parents are now divorced, but they still come
exactly.
over. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they're not part of that family, but they show up anyway because and you still love them. So
That's yeah. So and it's still fun. You gotta, you still
exactly. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, Hanna-Barbera, same thing. They've been with me forever. My dad used to watch them, so we would watch them. So like Huckleberry Hound, I remember
Hmm.
it's like him and Snagglepuss and QuickDraw and a Yogi were
Yeah.
like the main four that I recall.
That was the core, right?
Right, right. And then you had all the others. Was a Wally Gator and of course the Flintstones later on, and then Top Cat and like all these others that were just like classics. The Jetsons, just classic Hanna-Barbera shows, and they
Yeah.
have their distinctive style, but like it's just fun and playful and whimsical and
Yes.
subtly different as well.
Yes, there's enough difference between them that you feel like you're watching different shows, but there also like is enough style that you're like, oh, I've never seen this show before, but it's Hanna Barbera, so I'm probably gonna enjoy it. If you like Hanna
Right.
Barbera, you're probably gonna like them, right?
Yeah, you can jump in and be thoroughly entertained. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So this particular one we're talking about tonight, I don't remember watching it as a kid. This is one that I didn't watch till I was an adult later on. What
Same.
about yeah.
It didn't get the replay for me.
Mm-mm.
Like it wasn't played as much as the other like Yogi's First
Yogi's
Christmas.
First Christmas, right?
It didn't get the same amount of like replay value. And rewatching it, I don't know. I like it for different reasons. There's also some parts where I get it. Like I get why this one wasn't as popular.
Right,
Um,
right.
but
We'll
it,
talk
it
about
had some
why.
it had some other stuff in it that I like too. So anyway,
Yeah, same. And the only reason we're covering this one this year is because our friends over Mike Westfall over at Advent Calendar House was doing Yogi's First Christmas, and I didn't want to repeat it. I want you guys to
yeah,
go listen to Mike because it's a
definitely go check it
fantastic
out.
show. Go check it out. Great episode. And then you can come here and hear us talk about the sequel.
That's right.
So that way, we kind of partner up a little bit there. But yeah, so make sure you check out that episode. This was definitely a sequel, and it's got sequel vibes. One thing that I did kind of like was in Yogi's First Christmas, they all kind of get together, and
Hmm.
here they're now visiting their friend. We have Huckleberry Hound driving them all to go see
That's right.
Yogi, and so it's kind of neat at the same time. But you're right, there's like this huge world building crossover thing that me as a comic book geek really, really loved.
Same. Yeah, it's so interesting too because I mean, so cartoon wise, Yogi never really leaves Jellystone. So how does he
Mm-mm.
know all these people? Like,
I
do we get
don't-
into that really? It's like they're coming to visit their like longtime friend. Well, how?
They're
Like,
all
how did
Facebook friends. That's all.
I guess so, yeah, pre-internet in the early
That's right.
80s and
Yeah,
late 70s.
they're
Yeah,
pen pals or something. I
that's
have
right.
no
Yeah.
idea. Yeah, it really is strange, but at the same time, you don't question it because it's just Hanna-Barbera. Yeah.
That's right. It's protected by plot armor, right? It's like it's critical to the plot, so it can't be penetrated. It's like you gotta just roll with
That's,
it.
that's right. It's like Batman nowadays.
That's exactly right. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and I love Batman, guys. I mean, you guys know I love Batman, but nowadays Bat God is kind of a thing, and it is kind of a
Yeah, he
bummer
has
for me.
magical superpowers. Yeah,
Right?
for
Yeah,
some reason.
yeah. I don't understand. I do want to talk about the circumstances of this. I don't know if you're aware of the story, but Dawes Butler, who voiced Yogi Bear and like about a dozen or almost 2 dozen other
Yeah,
Hanna-Barbera characters, had a stroke. It was like a year or two before this. He was recovering. It wasn't fatal. And all of a sudden, while he was recovering, Mark Evanier, this author, the writer of this episode, he got a call from Joe Barbera saying, "Hey, like we're putting on this new Yogi Bear special. Can you write it? We need it in like 3 days," which is like pretty ridiculously
that's
fast.
shocking. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, even for Hollywood standards. So Mark gets it done, sends a copy to Dawes because Dawes is recovering. He wants it early so he can practice. And while all this is going on, they have to get it done within 3 weeks because there is an animator strike that's about to occur as well at the end of the
of
month. This
course.
is this is like July of '82, so this is like a ridiculously fast special. So they have to get this all done about 3 days before they're actually supposed to record all the voices. It turns out that Dawes Butler's agent and someone in business affairs at Hanna-Barbera were fighting over their salary.
Of
And
course.
so they literally were told to recast Dawes. Mark Evanier was so furious, he like barged into Joe Barbera's office. He offered to pay the $1,000 himself. It was only like $1,000 difference. And so Joe Barbera was like, "What are you talking about?" They said it was like a ton of money. And so he calls the guy in business affairs and he says, like, "My name's on the studio. You pay Dawes the money." And so Dawes was able to do it. Now, the cool thing about this story was not only was he able to actually do all the voices and he still had it, but all of his voice acting friends like Frank Welker, Don Messick,
Mhm.
like all these famous, royalty of voice acting,
Yeah,
literally refused to audition for any of Dawes's roles just because of
love
how
it.
much respect they had for him.
See, that's
So,
loyalty though, right? That
right?
was actually also in the time people forget now because it's very blended, but it used to be there were voice actors that were just voice actors.
Hmm.
And then there were like television live action actors or theater actors or movie actors, and there wasn't as much blending as there is now. Now it's like you see The Rock everywhere, or Aquafina,
Right. Or Chris Pratt.
or Chris Pratt. Yeah,
Yeah.
Garfield. I'm not gonna go down that
Yeah,
right now.
no, no, it's better. I'm gonna wait. He
That's
surprised me
right.
with Mario, so I'm gonna wait.
Yeah,
Um,
Mario was not as terrible as I thought.
yeah,
So
exactly,
it was,
exactly. I
yeah,
was like, "Oh, this is gonna be bad," but it was
yeah,
passable. So yeah, it was like this crazy show of affection, this show of
it's
support for
amazing.
Dawes
Yeah,
Butler. They all came together and they got it done. He actually apparently wanted to be recorded by himself because he didn't want to be embarrassed by missing any lines. But he did so well that after it aired, that he got calls from like Paul Frees. He got calls from just about everyone saying like, It's like I was watching an old episode from the '60s. You were amazing." And so
that's
he was
awesome.
just over the moon about
Love
that.
it.
So yeah, it's like one of those feel good stories. This whole thing, but you can tell it was written in 3 days,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
that's
I agree.
yeah, that's I think
You
why
don't want to
it's
say
not
thrown together, but kinda,
it was
right?
thrown
Like
together.
it was
Yeah.
thrown together.
Yeah, Yogi's First Christmas had a lot more, depth, I think.
Yeah. A lot of smoke and mirrors in this one and
Right.
repeats.
Oh, big time.
I
Yeah.
think there's like a total of like 4 animation cells in this entire special.
That sounds about right, and it's
Yeah,
mostly just Yogi in the Santa suit because the
exactly. Yeah. No, it's it was definitely hastily put together, but
right.
if you like Hanna-Barbera, it's a must
It
see.
it doesn't matter,
I
yeah.
had I had only seen it once before this, but when you reached out, I was like, "Oh yeah, let's do it. Anything Hanna-Barbera." Yeah, I mean, you remember my message. I was like, "Anything Hanna-Barbera goodness, I'm in." Like
I do remember
I'm
that.
in for it. I love it. So and that story is really interesting. I had heard about the 3-day time limit, how he had to write it in 3 days, but I didn't know the circumstances behind it. That's super cool. Super
Yeah,
cool.
well, and so I guess they had actually because he had kinda fallen away from writing for Hanna-Barbera. He was, like, their longtime writer. He had kinda started pulling back. I guess he and Joe Barbera were actually having a little bit of disagreements here and there, but, like, they had offered it to other people and nothing was working. They hated every single pitch, and now they only had 3 days. So they're like,
Nice.
"Yeah, let's go back to Mark. We know he's fast. He can get it done," and he
Old
did.
Faithful, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So the special opens with what I like to call the Magnum PI 18 montage, where they kind of, not spoil, but they kind of preview what's to come in the opening credits.
That's exactly right. And fill time.
Exactly.
That was the other thing, is they had to fill some time.
Right. Yeah, it kills a good minute and a half, 2 minutes of just song and credits, and hey, here's what you can expect from the special.
That's right.
So
yeah, you could say it was just introducing the characters again, but I mean, really, it's kind of a
right. Yeah, we all know these guys. Yeah, exactly.
It was like watching a Hallmark movie trailer. If you've ever watched a Hallmark movie trailer, you realize you've seen the whole movie. Mm-hmm. So it's very much like that.
But also, like, if you've seen any Hallmark movie, you've seen any other Hallmark movie. So
it's like one plot, 14 different scenes, and like 7 actors. But I mean, I get it.
Totally. Me too. I keep threatening my wife, like, hey, I'm gonna write one of these days, so you better watch out. But
you should see my Hallmark fan fiction. It is immense and ridiculous.
It's like an Avengers style with Lacey Chabert and all the
she
Alicia Witt and all those. Yeah,
there's a crossover with Paw Patrol. It's a whole thing. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
I'm into it. I'd watch that. Yeah. It's different.
It is. Yeah. It's the, what we don't have enough of now is the crossover between live action and animation anymore.
That's right. That's right.
That's what I'm going for. I'm blending that and bringing it back
Mary
from
Poppins
the 90s.
Back. Yeah.
That's right.
I agree. Yeah. So the special starts off with Huckleberry Hound and a whole slew of his friends driving to Jellystone to spend Christmas with Yogi Bear. And it's like Huck, it's QuickDraw, Snooper and Blabber. I mean, there's quite a lot of guys.
There were some that I didn't recognize. I'll be honest. Like, I was like, I don't know who you are. Like, I had to look them up.
Same.
It was like
Hokey Wolf. Yeah.
I was like, who is this? I have no idea. It must have had like a 10-minute window of specials or something that he was in.
Yeah, he was a lesser known one to me as well.
Maybe he was on like or they were on, what was it, like QuickDraw had like sections and stuff, right? On a show, like
yeah, he was kind of like, he was part of the Huckleberry Hound show as well.
Okay.
Yeah, Hokey Wolf. But like Augie Doggy and Doggy Daddy, I vaguely remembered them. They weren't like in my top tier of Hanna-Barbera characters.
I don't think they're in anyone's top tier. They can be kind of grating, but it's also kind of nice too, to like refreshing to see like a father-son relationship where like the son idolizes the dad. It was kind of nice. How many times they repeated it though, that was a bit rough.
It was definitely, it's like, okay, these guys really love each other.
That's right, they do.
It's positive role. Yeah. Eat your heart out, Bandit from Bluey. But,
that's right. That's right.
Oh dear man, old Bluey. Dad of mine. I mean, yeah. So they're all going to Jellystone, and I love how they actually get to the ranger station, and Ranger Smith is like, finally, the last tourists have left. I'm on Christmas break. Like, nobody bother me. Yogi's away. Yeah, he's ready to like just put on pajamas and go.
This is supposed to be his downtime, right? This is his summer break for teachers, essentially, is what it is.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But instead, he gets a whole gang of animal characters just coming up on him. And Hokey Wolf even threatens him at one point. He's like, let us in because I'm friends with the Secretary of Interior. And if you don't,
that's right.
What does he say? Something like,
one word from me, and he'll have you holding the stop sign at deer crossings. Now announce us.
Yeah, whatever that means. I mean, it's like, I don't know what that is. Yeah.
I guess it's the park ranger version of I'll have you busted down to traffic duty.
That's right. Yeah. I have you as a traffic cop, a whistle traffic cop.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
So they call Yogi. They get his answering machine instead. And where he basically says that most bears are hibernating, but I'm actually going to the city to see my friends. So
that's right.
Suck it, Ranger Smith. And
which is typical. I mean, it's exactly that's pretty much the premise of the show. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, he had to at some point. So what I liked was that there was absolutely no communication from either side.
Right.
They were like, hey, I'm gonna surprise all my friends. But again, how do you know each other?
I don't know.
How?
I don't know, but It's very Muppet Family Christmas. Yeah, we're gonna
It
go
is.
surprise my mom. Same thing. We're gonna go surprise Yogi.
Sounds great, Fozzie, but don't you think we should have called your mother to let her know we were coming?
Oh, how little you understand bears, Kermit. My mother loves surprises.
Good thing she's in for beauty.
I also like that all the non Jellystone Park characters apparently all live in the same city. So that makes sense at least, right? I mean, at least all of those guys are like relatively local.
Well, maybe that's how they know each other, I guess.
Yeah.
But Yogi, I don't know. He's
maybe he's infamous, right? I mean, he's infamous in Jellystone. Maybe word has gotten out. This was a time of word of mouth, right? It was,
that's true.
It wasn't the internet, but people would talk, and there was probably tall tale.
And I'm sure anthropomorphic animals have like their own systems and networks in place. I mean,
are we convinced they're not furries? Have we talked about that? Are we convinced, like fully convinced that they're not just a bunch of furries?
Now that
because
you bring
that
it
makes
up,
even more sense, I think, sadly.
It very well could be.
But yeah, let's go with anthropomorphic animals because,
Yeah, Dean Pelton somewhere in the background.
Yeah.
Dressed as a Dalmatian. But yeah, Ranger Smith is all upset. He calls the cops and they immediately alert animal control so that when Yogi and Boo Boo, who by the way are stealing lunches while on the bus, they're stowed away on this tourist bus.
Yep.
Yogi has a great line. Most of my notes are just like lines. He says something like, "What cheap lunches people pack these days? No caviar, no quiche."
He's like eating a sandwich and an orange, and it's like, yeah, Yogi, you're on a bus and you're underneath it. What
do
you
you expect?
They're not on a picnic, man.
Right.
This is like they might have forgotten about that lunch in their bag. That's why it's underneath.
You're not on a yacht, man. It's
No,
not Jeff
not at all.
Bezos. His personal.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he calls animal control. They're waiting at the station.
What are they waiting with, Jerry? How are they supposing to catch this full-grown bear?
With nets, aren't they?
It's a butterfly net. It's a butterfly net. Not a net. Not like a weapon net. But like a full-grown grizzly bear. I'm assuming he might just be a brown bear.
It's that old saying, if you lasso a bear on the head with a butterfly net, he's gonna go and do what you tell him.
That's true. It's like their kryptonite, I think.
Right.
I think that's just established Hannah-Barbera lore at this point. That butterfly nets are the bears of Jellystone Park's kryptonite.
I think it works on anybody though, but butterfly nets.
That's true.
If you catch them, that's it.
Needs to be a t-shirt.
Right.
So
Charlie, if you're listening, make this a t-shirt.
Please do. Right.
So they're waiting for him. They attempt to catch him. Well, Yogi, brilliant as he is, he makes an announcement that there are two bears loose in the terminal, and everybody freaks out, and they're able to get away and run into Gacy's department store.
Yep. Wonder what that's supposed to be.
Probably a portmanteau of Macy's and Gimbel's, I think.
I would imagine so.
Yeah. So, and I love how immediately he knows how to be Santa. He just gets it. Santa.
Well, this is not his first Christmas.
That's right. It's not his first Christmas. Yep.
So he has excellent memory,
and he is smarter than the average bear. So yeah,
and perfect recall. So he has that eidetic memory trait. So good for Yogi, right? I mean, he's got street smarts. I'll give him that. Like he's a survivalist. He's a survivor.
He's not going to end up a rug. That's for sure.
No, not at all.
But at the same time, they're running into Gacy's J. Wellington Jones, industrialist, tycoon, just a billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
I understood that reference.
Or whatever he is, I don't know. He drops his daughter Judy off at the department store to pick out her present, and she protests because she wants him to pick it out, and of course he's busy.
Here we are, Judy, the best department store in town. Pick out anything you want for a present and charge it to my account.
Daddy, can't you come with me?
Delaney, did you get the amalgamated contract? What, dear?
I said, can't you come with me? I want you to pick out my present.
I'm sorry, honey, but I have business calls to make. Now, run along.
What I loved is this was 82. You knew he was big timing because he had a phone in his car.
He had a phone in 82. His car, yeah.
Like, this was not like Zach Morris with his like bucket phone in the early 90s. This was like in his very large sedan. His tank-like sedan that was like a yacht going down the interstate.
Yeah, this is like a Trading Places kind of rich.
Yeah, exactly.
I expected Eddie Murphy to show up and just start talking. So one of the things that caught my eye was the Super Duper Ray demolisher as well.
Yes. And he picks it up.
Picks it up, says, "Be the first kid on your block to level Detroit."
Super dark, right? It's like this is super dark. But this is right after. So isn't this? What was it? 80, 81 when they did the Disco Destroyer thing in Detroit.
Yes.
So it was shortly after this,
right?
Or shortly after that this special happened. So, for those that don't know, which I'm sure many of you do, they had like a big thing at the Detroit Tigers game where they burned disco albums on the field for some reason. And so I guess that's what they were going with.
That's what you do in Detroit,
burn stuff down, I guess. Yeah.
I love it when cartoons cover like current events. It's very topical. Like that's
but in a lighthearted and also dark way.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, wait, whoa. Okay, but also I get it.
Right. Yeah. That checks out.
Yeah. That checks out. And what the best part was, he shoots it and it totally eviscerates a wall or something. And then when he runs, he just leaves it.
Of course.
It's like, Yogi, this is your way out, right? This one weapon would have solved all your problems.
That's right.
Now, mind you, it was just on it was like the old NES machines that were just out for anyone to play.
Right.
Like anybody could just mess with it, except he could have run off with it.
Imagine all the deaths that occurred when little kids just picked them up. Just random homicides happening here.
It was how they kept costs down in the 80s.
Population control. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, once we started putting stuff behind glass, it became a lot less fun, a lot less violent. So what are you going to do?
That's right.
Less survival, more sparkle.
I'm into it.
Yeah, it's fine.
So Yogi, he goes to Santa training school for a bit, and then suddenly he is now their Santa at Gacy's, and he begins to talk to Judy. Well, she actually comes up to him and tries to talk to him, and he even says something like,
"Sorry, kiddo, but this Santa is closed."
Of course, finally, she has a puppy dog eye. She's apathetic or not apathetic. She's pathetic and
persistent.
Right, exactly. And so he acquiesces, and she says,
"I only want one thing more than anything else in the world."
Oh? And pray, what could that be?
A daddy who will spend Christmas with me.
Which kind of breaks their hearts. Like, this is when you see Yogi and Boo Boo just melt almost. And it's like, wow, okay. Again, pretty deep for just a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, but
especially when thrown together in a few days.
That's why it's so deep. He didn't have time to edit.
Yeah, he didn't have time to soften it a little bit, and he's like, "No, this kid just wants her dad."
Right, exactly. Yeah. There's no subtext. It's all text.
Exactly. No subtext whatsoever.
Right. She goes with Yogi. Of course, I'm going to call him Yogi Santa because he's still dressed as Santa. Yeah. She goes with Yogi Santa as security starts to chase them. And of course, they hop in a snowmobile and escape.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do. You just hop in the nearest snowmobile to get away from authorities.
Not only that, but, so you're a parent, you're busy, you're rich. You're like, hey, here's the department store, kid. Kick them out. I got business stuff to do, right?
Right.
And you just kick your kid out. They're on their own in a busy department store at Christmas time. It's the 80s. What could happen?
I was gonna say,
what could happen is your daughter finds an anthropomorphic bear pretending to be Santa Claus and runs off with him on a snowmobile.
I mean, that sounds like a great adventure. I'm into
it. It does.
Let's hop on. I'm on board.
Let's find out what happens.
I mean, there were times when my parents had to do some Christmas shopping or run some errands, so they would drop us off at the arcade at the mall, and they would go do their thing in the rest of the mall.
Walden Books, B. Dalton Books.
Exactly. Walden.
KB Toys.
KB Toys, 1,000,000%. So I get it.
It was a different time. It legitimately was a different time.
I know.
Different sensibilities and...
I know. I think now about that, and it's like, I don't want my kids out of my sight. I've listened to too many true crime stories to know that's terrible.
Yes, I can't now. Because true crime is such a big thing, and because our society kind of sucks, I can't do it. My 6 and 3-year-old, I have young children. They got it. You are, even in the grocery store in the tiny town I live in, you are arm's reach away from me. No further.
Yeah. Yeah, don't even go around the corner. I want to be able to see you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. But back then, you totally could just hop in a snowmobile and get away
Yeah,
from
it's fine.
authorities with an anthropomorphic bear dressed as Santa,
Or a furry
or
dressed
a
as
furry
a
dressed
bear,
as a bear
as
dressed as
Santa.
Santa.
Yeah.
So they crash into a Christmas tree again with the great lines.
The police! Time for our feet to beat a retreat!
That's right.
Yeah, you gotta love that. But anyway, so Ranger Smith is watching the news and he sees that there's this little girl missing, daughter of a tycoon, and he kind of starts to suspect Yogi just because he, at this point, is familiar with his shenanigans.
Yep.
Yep.
You know, there's something going on, I don't know, X 100 miles away. Must be Yogi.
I mean,
right?
I know my kids really well, but also, like, if they're staying with my parents and I'm watching the news and I hear about something happening, automatically know it's them.
Exactly. Same.
Yeah. That's how it works.
I know that my kids caused some large catastrophe, kidnapping, missing, missing
right.
persons. It is what it is.
Yeah. Exactly. So the trio scam a picnic basket from Murray and his wife, which I do love.
And who's not picnicking outdoors in the big city in the snow at Christmas time? Right?
Well, Murray just really wants to.
Yeah.
That's all
really
he wanted
has
to do. That's right. So they start to have a picnic, and this is where somehow the Hannah-Barbera gang finds them and catches up with them. And so they kind of tell Yogi about what's going on, and he fills them in on, well, look, there's this little girl. I don't know who her parents are. We need to get her back to her, her dad. Right. And so they split up to kind of keep abreast of the different situations from various angles.
Yeah, they look up in the phone book, right? And her last name is Smith.
It's Jones, yeah.
Jones, that's it, yeah.
And there's three different or several different Joneses. So they split up that way as well. And then Snooper and Blabber decide to go investigate with the local authorities, because naturally the police are going to tell a private eye anything, anytime.
Especially anthropomorphic animal private eyes. Right?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the codes. There's 187, but then there's like a 999, which is tell an anthropomorphic private eye anything. So
that's right. Well, I mean, if they're anthropomorphic animals, well then, something magical is happening. If they're furries, right, then it's a whole other sort of like, why are you here type of situation. And they probably just wanted to appease them so they wouldn't get attacked. Right? No. It's like,
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you're both in these really long trench coats. You've got your Sherlock Holmesian hats. It's right. Like, okay, is this going to be a Matrix situation, or are we just going to play along? And
or is this a Blumhouse film?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So they all split up, and this is where Snagglepuss runs into Fred and Barney with the greatest line ever uttered in a cartoon special.
Heavens to cameo guest stars! It's Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble.
Yeah,
Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble.
I loved it because they referenced the time. They're like, wait, you're from the Stone Age, but no, it was just. I loved it because it was like breaking that fourth wall.
Right.
And they were like, look, we're just all about the ham.
Like, it's a Christmas special. Right? Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly. We're just going to throw everybody in here.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, he says, like, aren't you chaps a little far from bedrock? Like about 3 million years, I think was the exact quote. It's crazy. But they are trying to raise money to help the Royal Order of Water Buffalo's Christmas party for the kids. So it's basically like a Toys for Tots kind of situation. So they ask Snagglepuss to help and, go ask that lady over there. And this is like one of my favorite parts of the whole special. Go ask that lady for some donations. So when he starts to talk to her, she freaks out because he's basically a lion,
Yeah.
And so she thinks he's going to attack her. And Fred and Barney start to beat him and drag him away.
That's
and
right.
As a reward, she gives them
donations.
Money. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So the whole thing was another scam. Like, this thing is just schemes and scams all over the place.
It also makes you wonder, why was everyone not terrified of these talking anthropomorphic animals?
Right.
Was it just, did they know just that one lady was going to be afraid of them? Maybe she's not from the city. Maybe she was like, had a jacket on that said another city name.
Well,
Maybe
it did
she's from
kind of look like she was
Albuquerque.
wearing
I
like
don't
a
know.
fur, so
Yeah.
maybe
Oh, yeah.
maybe she's just
Yeah. I like where your brain's at. Yeah, I like this.
I mean, this was the era of like Dynasty and
That's
all
true.
those. So maybe she's just a rich. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, they get their donation. Then we get to QuickDraw, who's canvassing the area. He goes to another Jones. It's but it turns out it's the house of Trixie, Dixie, and Mr. Jinx, the cat.
Yep.
So of course Jinx turns him away. Sorry,
That's right.
there's no little girl by that name that lives here. But in the meantime, Trixie and Dixie also get him a Christmas present, which is a vicious dog.
Yep. Of course. I mean, it makes sense.
Right.
It only makes sense. Yeah.
Right.
Because what does a cat want more than that? Right.
Well, especially one that's always attacking them with brooms and whatnot.
That's right. That's right.
We get more cameos by more Hanna-Barbera folks. We have Magilla Gorilla.
Underrated, by the way. Underrated.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm all about Magilla Gorilla.
It was Magilla Gorilla. Who was the other one? Grape Ape.
Grape Ape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to love those guys. We also get Yaki and Wally, which I didn't quite recall
That didn't
as
ring
much.
a bell.
Right.
Yeah, it didn't ring a bell for me.
Right.
I was like, oh, hey, also those guys.
Right. So they were just more characters. Same thing. They checked all the Joneses in the phone books, couldn't find it. But it makes sense. If he's as wealthy as he is, why would he have his number in the phone book?
That's right. It was the era of not many people were unlisted in the early 80s, I think. Like most people were in the phone book, but
right.
maybe not the ultra elite. Like
right.
Yeah, the yacht people probably weren't.
Right. If you were on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, you probably
That's
weren't
right.
in the phone book.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, maybe, or you were in your own phone book, like you had like a
oh,
separate,
that's right. Yeah,
like ultra exclusive phone
like
book.
the black card,
Yeah.
but
Well, and this was also at a time. I don't think everybody had the ability to dial long distance for the for
no
the
you and you had to pay for it. It was like
that's right. It was like
right?
a special service that you had to pay for.
Which is crazy when you think about it. But
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays you can do that for free. It's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, WhatsApp is for free. So
that's right. You can call in, talk to any country. I remember growing up, like we only dialed 7 numbers because when you got on the phone, it was like your local area code was all you could call.
Same. Yeah. You didn't have to do your, you didn't have to do an area code. So the cops find Yogi and Boo Boo. We cut to Mr. Jones in his mansion, realizing how empty and lonely it is.
I never realized how big this house was before. And lonely.
Sir.
Oh, Faversham. Any word from the police?
Oh, I'm afraid not, sir. But I wanted to remind you about your flight to London for that important meeting.
Forget the meeting. I don't care about anything except getting my daughter back safely.
And he blows off an important meeting, which is kind of important. And yes, I know that's redundant. I'm sorry. But anyway, so Snoop at this time is also getting the lowdown at the station from the cops. They get a call just about the local unit that picked up a bear. The description fits the Santa that kidnapped the kid. Ranger Smith starts pleading. I know I'm going through this a little bit faster, but Ranger Smith starts pleading with Mr. Jones. But Mr. Jones is out for blood, and he says he wants Yogi as his new rug, which again, really
a little dark.
Right?
Yeah, a little bit dark. Also, in the story, this is about, I don't know, like 2 minutes of time that all of this wraps up. I feel like it goes from like misadventures to no, I want a dead bear.
right, exactly.
It's really quickly. Like Jerry might have summarized it quickly, but realistically, in the show, it was pretty close.
It was very much like Mel Gibson in that movie Payback.
Yes,
when they kidnap his son. Same thing. So Judy is with Augie and Doggy Daddy.
Yep.
And as they're so affectionate and loving towards each other, she realizes that she wants to be with her own dad.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. But the cops arrive. They arrest Yogi, and he says,
I never stole anything larger than a picnic basket, Mr. Jones. Judy ran away.
Mr. Jones doesn't believe him.
Not having it. He's not having it. Should he, though? I mean, probably not because he's a negligent parent, but nonetheless, right? I mean,
yeah. But this is where he realizes he's a negligent parent because he says, I give her anything she wants. And he says, what could you give her? And then Yogi says,
how's about some time?
This is like the worst way ever to realize something, but he says, I'm busy. I have business meetings. I'm never home. And then I'm never home. Nice and
That's right.
slow. And it's
Music changes.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it's like, yeah.
And he says the bear's not the guilty one. I am.
That's right.
It's like just such a fast wrap up. And of course, it's a Christmas special. So he's got to turn, he's got to have that
That's
turn
right. That's exactly
really, really
right.
quickly. So anyway, he's reunited with Judy. Everybody's happy. They sing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas" out in the park. He offers to take them back to his house, but the daughter likes it better there, and so they stay there and sing a carol, and it's what Jingle Bells, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which they sang at the beginning, but with different lyrics. I don't know if you caught that.
I did not.
Yep. So it was like Yogi Bear, Yogi Bear.
Riding on a bus, goes bound for Jellystone. This year none of us will spend Christmas alone. We got lots of gifts, lots of picnic baskets too. We're gonna spend our Christmas day with Yogi and Boo Boo. Oh, Yogi Bear, we are on our way. Gonna have a party that will last till Groundhog Day. Yogi Bear,
Oh yes. Okay. Now that you say it, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so
You hear a song enough over the holiday season, and you kind of just
they all blend together. Yeah.
you kind of tune out the actual words to it, and it's just whatever's in your head.
Right. It was something else, but so that's the special. It ends well. It definitely was rushed. You could tell there was a lot of reused footage here and there. They kind of, I don't want to say they pull a Filmation, but they almost pull a Filmation with less frames per second on a lot of it.
It's very challenging.
Yeah, but it's still fun, and it's Hanna-Barbera, and if you like these characters, you'll enjoy it. So
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I mean, so if you like Hanna-Barbera, it is worth a watch. Especially if you're a Christmas fan, I think you owe it to yourself to watch it. It's got some good cameos, in my opinion. Like I think specials at Hanna-Barbera are known for their cameos. So you get a ton of unique characters. You get a story that has some heart to it and some darkness. So it's a good special. Is it the best? Absolutely not.
No,
but that's what makes it watchable.
Right.
Once. One time.
And then you just wait a year and then you watch it again and it's all right. Yeah.
That's right. Well, next year you watch it while you're like folding laundry or something. So it's not like your full attention, but you're like, okay, yeah, I got this.
Agreed. Very much. Now, if you could be a character in this special, who would you be?
Oh, man, Yogi. He gets to be like a store Santa. He gets to help the kid. He gets fed, and he gets what he wants anyway. He gets to spend Christmas with his friends.
Right.
He's not hibernating, which I'll be real. Like if somebody would leave me alone for 3 months, I don't know if I'd be spending all that time running around, but I get it. But yeah, Yogi, definitely give me Yogi for sure.
That's kind of what I do. So like, the store's going to close in a couple of months and we're close to the public, but we get like our own little vacation first. And it's like 6 weeks of just nothing where I take the kids to school and I'm just all by myself all day long. And I can watch whatever and do whatever. And it's amazing. And I love spending time with my family. I love my kids to death, but also it's nice to have just some time to myself. So
exactly.
It's pretty great.
Jerry time.
Yeah.
Like some time to not be doing anything.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, let's watch The Last Starfighter right now, and just put that.
Love it.
Or
War
something.
games. Yeah.
War games. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Shall we play a game?
No, that's good. So what would you say is your happiest memory or moment of the special?
Ooh, so there was the chase scene. So I'm a sucker for a chase scene. It's, whether it's Scooby-Doo or Ninja Turtles or it doesn't matter. Any kind of chase scene, and Yogi typically has these. But right when they arrive in the big city and they get off the bus and the animal people are chasing them. That's my happy moment. I'm like, okay, yeah, like it's just pure nostalgia. Like I'm back sitting on the floor in front of my parents' 20-inch TV. That's like massive at the time, right? And,
right. Yeah, that's the big TV. Like, whoa.
It is. That was the big TV. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Like
nice.
It transports me back. So
well, and Hanna-Barbera did chase scenes very well.
I agree.
Like there's a lot, and you're like, okay, well, that could have been better.
They reuse stuff, right? But there was enough different like room to room or scene to like back and forth that it was like I love it, and I'm a sucker for that. So
I agree. Yeah,
I know they're cheesy, but I love it.
No, that's cool. I think mine would probably, and I kind of alluded to this already, would be the Flintstones cameo.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it was just that was entertaining. It was funny.
Unexpected.
Yes, it was very unexpected because, completely like he said, they were about 3 million years early or whatever.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, not really. Cavemen weren't millions of years away, but you know what?
There's also not anthropomorphic animals.
Well, that's also true.
We're gonna let that time lapse slide a little bit.
Nope, that's the line right there. It's
the cavemen. That's where I draw the line. That's historical accuracy with cavemen.
With
they
cavemen,
also didn't have pet dinosaurs. So,
that's also true. They also didn't celebrate Christmas.
That is accurate
for obvious reasons. But no, that was like the best part to me. It was fantastic. Again, you're right. I wasn't expecting to see them. I was expecting more of their original, not quite derivative characters, I should say.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was really cool. But now we come to my favorite part of the show, which is a little segment I like to call Gag Me with the Spoon. So this is where we do our best impression of our least favorite part of the episode. It could be just something you thought was cringeworthy or a scene that was kind of boring. But as a guest, I'll let you go first. Just kind of set up the scene a little bit for us.
Yeah, so we actually just talked about this. It was right at the end, and it was the ultra cheesy dad reveal where music changes and Dad just repeats himself and then slows down, and you see him process, oh, I'm an absentee parent. And and he has a realization that he needs to actually parent his child. That was the Gag Me with the Spoon.
Yeah, I hear you. That's good. For me, it was this one Snagglepuss line. And I love Snagglepuss. Yeah. And it was from my favorite scene, but just this one line, for some reason, it just bothered me. I don't know why. But they ask him for a donation. He says, I'd be glad to help, but I'm broke, tapped out even.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. All right. I don't know what it was.
I do love his repeats, but in like rephrases, but I agree. That one was challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. There was
Hanna-Barbera is full of those cringeworthy, like it was Michael Scott before Michael Scott existed. Cringe. Right.
Right. That's what she said. But sorry. So I actually just saw sorry to it just reminded me what you said. I saw a meme today, or it was like a cartoon. It was a doctor checking out Snagglepuss, like a vet, and he had his tail raised and he says, well, I have bad news. You've got Murgatroyds.
Nice. Jerry and his 80s cartoon memes. Apparently you need to share more of these, Jerry, because
I'm sorry. It was fun. But I do gotta ask, because G.I. Joe taught us that knowing is half the battle. What do you think the other half is?
The other half is anthropomorphic animals / furries are who you should find to help you at Christmas time.
Guys, that's just great advice for life.
It is just general life advice.
That's right. That's fairly close to mine. Well, not really, but kind of. So I said, if knowing's half the battle, the other half is eluding the authorities by hiding as a mall Santa. So,
man, you could do a whole movie series on people hiding as Santa.
Right.
One of these days, I'll tell you about my misadventures as a mall Santa.
Really?
In West Texas. Yeah. 2 years in a row, man.
Oh man. That sounds amazing.
It was, I was 20 and 21.
Oh,
it was so great. Yeah. Oh yeah.
This sounds like a book. Like this might be a story or something.
It may be a long podcast episode, but it'll be something. Yeah,
there you go.
Something for sure.
Jeff, it's been a blast. Tell me about your show or anything else you got coming up. Like, what do you want to plug?
Sure. So one, I want to plug the rest of the Christmas Podcast Network. There's so many great shows. I love the people that are on there. There's tons of stuff, whether you like music or movies, TV, history, cooking. Just search us out. There's a ton of us on there. If you like history and you like the stuff behind our traditions, then check me out. Lost Christmas Podcast. I dive into the history, mysteries, the food, the traditions, kind of where it comes from. That's my shtick. That's what I do, and I love it. But yeah, so you can find me on basically every podcast network. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter or X, Instagram. I'm not allowed to have TikTok for work, so you'll never find me on TikTok.
Right.
But yeah, look me up. I'd love to gain another listener. So, but obviously, thank you, Jerry, because I love coming on your show. I love your show. So, and I love the 80s. So, I mean,
it's so fun. I mean, we've talked Brave Star. We've talked He-Man. Way back in the day, we talked Donkey Kong and Pac-Man, which I am in the process of re-editing that episode. So hopefully, yeah.
Hey, I mean, good times, right? I mean,
it's always fun. I still want you to come on to talk just 80s Christmas video games, because there were actually quite a few. They were all terrible, but
Jerry, my Christmas video game collection is astoundingly gross. Like, it is. It's bad. It's bad, but also great. So
totally.
I'm actually playing through a Game Gear one right now.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Christmas Days. So
I love Christmas Days. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of
Very
fun.
cool. Yeah, so definitely check out Lost Christmas. He did a whole series that's still one of my favorite series on different Santa Clauses.
Santa's around the world.
Yep. It was super cool. So yeah, go check it out. You won't regret it. But on that note, let me say thanks again, and I'll end it with Merry Christmas, Yogi. So check us out on our social media pages, which you can find at linktree.com/totallyradchristmas. And if you're feeling like J. Wellington Jones, realizing he needs to spend time with his daughter, leave us a review on iTunes. It helps us reach more people and spread some rad holiday cheer. Now, don't forget to check out our merch shop on tpublic.com and our super dope website, totallyradchristmas.com. Merry Christmas, everybody, and especially to you. Later, dudes.
And especially to you.